That's right, Natalie. You see, what should have been a routine bond hearing turned into a protracted verbal sparring match between Vallow's defense attorney and the judge. Normally, these kind of hearings only last for 10 or 15 minutes, but today's hearing took nearly 3 hours. Lori Vallow-Daybell is facing felony child desertion charges in the case of her 2 missing children, 7-year-old JJ and 17-year-old Tylee. She last appeared in court on March 6th. Her 2 previously scheduled bond hearings postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. During an earlier hearing, her bond was reduced from $5 million to $1 million, and today she and her attorney tried to get that taken down again to $250,000. Her defense attorney, Mark Means, spent hours airing his concerns to Judge Mallard.
I cannot, in good faith, communicate with my client through a telephonic system at the Madison Detention Center in preparation for what is probably one of the largest cases to ever come through Madison County.
He claims that private conversations between himself and Vallow were recorded by authorities, going as far as to say they may have been planning to use those recordings against him in court. But Means had no hard evidence.
You've made allegations that Mr. Wood admitted to you that a number of other phone calls had been recorded inappropriately. He's denying that.
If true, it would be a violation of Vallow's constitutional rights. Means argued that because of this, his client wasn't being treated fairly. Prosecutor Rob Wood showed documentation claiming Means wasn't being truthful.
He knows it's being recorded, and so I guess I don't know what the defense is claiming when he says I have this gut feeling. Especially when this document makes it clear he knew it was being recorded.
Mallard agreed, ultimately siding with the prosecution, keeping Vallow's bail at $1 million.
We're going to begin tonight with the latest numbers here in Idaho. There are now 2,061 confirmed cases. 64 people have died. There are 1.1 million cases in the country and more than 3.2 million in the world. Well, here in Idaho, our death rate is about half the national average. We're at just over 3%. Across the country, just under 6%. St. Luke's Coronavirus Committee Chairman spoke to CBS 2 News about why he believes that is the case. Erica Lee has the story.
According to the CDC, the nationwide death rate for coronavirus is 5.9%. Idaho is at 3%, about half of the national average. Dr. Kenny Bramwell of St. Luke's Hospital says one reason for this is the government responding early.
I think that's a big component of it is what the large healthcare systems have done here in Idaho. I think we're very lucky that way. I think we're also very fortunate that our governor stepped up quite early and shut down many of the things that we usually do. Restaurants, bars, most public places, large meetings, all of that was shut down, I would say, quite early. If you compare the time that we shut things down here, we were pretty close to other states. We may have been behind some states, but the states that got into real trouble waited until things got bad before shutting things down.
Bramwell says the whole point of flattening the curve is to allow doctors to really focus on the patients.
The places who have gotten into real trouble with mortality rates and horrific stories about people running out of materials and not having ventilators, that's all happened in locations where they just got behind or they ran out of materials. And that hasn't been the case here because of all of the efforts from the government, from the healthcare sector, and from the public.
He says shutting things down early contributed to flattening the curve, but the citizens of Idaho deserve credit too.
People have shut and altered their lives to a very significant degree, and it's been really hard for everybody, but I think everybody needs to share in knowing that we've been quite successful so far.
Erica Lee, CBS 2 News. Part of Governor Little's plan to reopen the state, St. Mark's Catholic Church is resuming its services this weekend. They are only allowing ticketed attendees to enter, and attendees will be spaced 6 feet away from each other. St. Mark's is taking extra precautions as their services started this Saturday and continued on Sunday.
I thought it went actually really great. Just seeing all the people here, number one. So for the last 5 weeks, I've been so used to not having a congregation. And now all of a sudden having people respond at Mass versus like 1 or 2 people, all of a sudden you have 100 people responding. So number one, that was fantastic. I thought that the process went well. We got to make sure that we have the volunteers. So there was a little bit of a rush right before Mass started at the 5 p.m. So we had a 3 p.m. service, and then we had 5 p.m. Today. And I'd say like 5 minutes, 10 minutes before, there was this big rush. And so we had to reallocate some of our volunteers to go outside, just help with the screening and instruction about coming to Mass.
St. Mark's Catholic Church usually holds up to 1,200 people, but had to only allow 164 attendees this weekend. Those who attended followed social distancing protocol, and Father Olenkot said it could not have gone better.
Everything went great. I loved it. People were engaged and followed, the directions well, and it just went really well. I was really happy.
He says the only thing he would change is to make sure it doesn't get too crowded before entering. St. Mark's is continuing to stream Mass online for those who are not able to come in person. Erica Lee, CBS 2 News.